Well, hello again and welcome back to BITeC Systems. I wanted to give an actual update of the network layout and how everything is set up. I know it's been a very long time, and believe me, a lot of stuff has changed since the last video. And, you know, I figured we'll just show what I got going on and show how I have it set up. So let's get into it. So right now you may be able to tell that I'm sitting at my this is the main desktop I use for everything. It's a Acer Veriton L460 and it's pretty low spec. I mean, all I really use it for is, you know, web browsing and email. That's pretty much it. Word processing, but it's not anything to write home about. It's a Core 2 Duo. It works. Runs Windows 10 somehow, because it came to me with Vista, and I hate Vista. But being that it is a small form factor computer, it is, I mean, it doesn't have as much I/O as I would like, but it gets the job done. Now you're wondering, because most of these Acers here, have only two video ports, a VGA and a DVI. And if you got the AMD variant, it just has a DVI only. But this is the Intel Core 2 Duo variant, so there's a VGA and a DVI. VGA goes through this KVM switch right here, which I'll get into that later, and the DVI goes to this middle monitor here. And I have a USB to DVI adapter that powers that third monitor. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and sign into it really quick and see what we got going on. All right, let's get over here. I hope it doesn't take forever today. Sometimes it's a little slower than usual. Oh, that's pretty quick. You see, and that's just one of the errors. I don't always get errors coming up, but you'll see after you see what my server architecture looks like, you'll see that there is plenty of room for error to occur. Yep. So that's basically the desktop. Now, on my network, I have pretty much hard-coded. Excuse me, no, my Windows license will not expire soon. What was I saying? I have the wallpaper set to match everywhere. And one of the things that I don't know if you noticed or not, but the background changed versus the lock screen background to the login background, to the desktop background. And that's set on everything. I'll have to show you what the difference is. It's very subtle, but if you pay attention, you can see it. Now, on my left screen, you can see that Zulu just started up, and that is the soft phone plug-in for the Asterisk or FreePBX phone system. And you see that it says under my account, I'm on Do Not Disturb. If you look here at the Astra phone, my light is on, which means I'm on Do Not Disturb. If you call me, 4700.
The person at extension 4700 is on the phone.
It says on the phone because that's the busy greeting. All right, so that automatically starts, and because I logged in as my account, it came up with me. That's single sign-on. That just works perfectly. I'll minimize that. Let's see. So on the other side of the room, you can see that we have what looks to be a Mac Pro. However, well, it is a Mac Pro, but it doesn't run Mac OS. This is my main server. It is a hypervisor that runs VMware's ESXi version 6.5. And no, it's not the latest one, but if I upgraded it all, it causes all sorts of weird gremlins to appear on this thing. So I was just like, let's keep it at 6.5. It works fine. Apple, what is this? Apple Airport Extreme provides the Wi-Fi down here. Does not do IP addressing, just Wi-Fi only. Talk about that in a second. UPS for if we have power fluctuations. There are many of these. And I am working on a solution to getting them monitored using either the USB connection or the serial connection and a bunch of Raspberry Pis. But that's still in the works. This Mac Pro has what looks like 2 optical drives, but the optical drives aren't in there. They're sitting right there because I needed hard drive space. And what's really weird about VMware is that if the hard drive is not connected to the SATA bus, if it's connected to USB like this one, you can't be over 2 terabytes in size. It just will not recognize it. So because I had 6 terabyte mechanical hard drives in here, or 2 6 terabyte, so not like 6 1 terabyte. So I have 2 6 terabyte hard drives in here, and then I have 4 solid state 1 terabyte drives. So 2 of the solid state drives are in the first and second bays. The two hard drives are in the third and fourth bay, and the 2 remaining solid state drives actually occupy the optical bays. That's fine. I don't need optical drives on this machine, because if I need to put optical media in here, you can just use VMware Workstation or on the Windows machines, or Fusion on the Macs, and just share the local CD drive. That's pretty much that. Now, because all the bays are full, I couldn't have a boot drive in here, so I actually have this 120 gigabyte solid state SSD. Oh, wow, that was redundant. 128 gigabyte SSD drive, and that runs ESXi. That is the boot drive. So yeah, that's pretty much my server. Oh, I didn't even tell you. It has 128 gigabytes of RAM, and it has it reports having 18.1 gigahertz of processing power. However, I don't know if that's just Linux talking based on Apple parts or something like that. I mean, because this is the I think this is the 8 core. You know what? Let's go over the computer. I'll pull up ESXi and see exactly what the spec. Okay, so you can see I'm sitting back here at the my main Acer desktop. Let's go to the IP address for ESXi. It's 10.0.0.10. No SSL, I know. Proceed. There we go. Okay, let's get in here real quick. I don't know if AD login is fixed, because Active Directory login is supposed to work, but sometimes it doesn't. Alright, let's have a look, see here. Alright, so if you look here, it says I've got 18.1 gigahertz. Hold on, let's zoom in. 18.1 gigahertz of processing power. But that didn't make sense until I actually did the math. 8 CPUs, so 8 times the Intel Xeon running at 2.27 gigahertz. So let's see. 2.27 gigahertz per core times 18.1. That is a metric fuck ton of power. Alright, 127 gigabytes of RAM. Can't even do that on a Mac system because, well, from that age, because the maximum system you could run on there would probably be, I don't know, 2009. The max you could run on there would be El Capitan. If you're running Mac OS on there, it's not going to see more than 96 gigabytes of RAM, even though you put 128 in there. But as soon as you put Linux on there, it shows 120. It shows all the RAM. Storage is just ridiculous. I've got 14.5 terabytes of storage. And that's not all the drives in there. It's not counting that boot drive, of course. But it's just counting from all of the 6 drives that are in there. The 4 solid states and the 2 mechanical ones. Let's zoom back out of here. Alright, so I have 14 virtual machines running here. And we'll go through each of those. And I'll tell you what each one does and why it's important to the network. And as usual with VMware, everything is out of order from the way that I want it. But let's see. We'll start with DC01. That's the primary domain controller. And you can see I like to leave it logged on and locked because sometimes it just takes forever to log into it. It's running server 2012 R2, and it runs Active Directory, and it actually also runs the Radius as well. So if I can, I'm gonna have to get up VMware Workstation because I don't want to use the web client. It just sucks. All right. DC02 is the Workgroup Manager, which is the Apple equivalent of Active Directory. It's for Open Directory. And that basically locks down the policies on the Apple computers. Makes them so that they can be in a locked down environment like Windows is with group policy. And that really works really well. We have set up what's called the Magic Triangle, where Apple machines will refer to Windows, the Active Directory, for login credentials, but then we'll refer to the Apple server for policies and procedures, if you will. So those are probably the 2 most important machines. Third most important machine is the FS01. That is a file server. It runs FreeNAS, I believe. I think, yeah, it's FreeNAS. But that is bound to the directory, so you can log into the Linux-based file server using Active Directory credentials, and that works absolutely beautifully. PBX01, obviously the phone system, because PBX. I try to name all the machines in the network with something so I know what it does or what you'll see as you watch. PBX01, it's running free PBX. 10.0.0.16 is the IP address, and that I don't want it to pull up the cert man, but the certificate manager. It's probably not going to let me go through. I probably need to put an oh, it put it on there for me. HTTPS. So yeah, there's that. I'm not really going to do anything with it right now. I know I got a bunch of issues, but hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Alright, there's that. Next I have MS01, and that is running server 2012, and it runs Exchange 2010. So we have hosted Exchange here. Let's see, https://ms01/owa. There we go. And domain name, username, and password. That's probably wrong. No, it's right. So that's basically the Exchange server. I don't really need to have my email up on the screen because it's not really important. Anyway, the reason why I have Exchange 2010 and not anything more modern is there's one exact reason, and I'll show that later. So, sorry, I had to charge my glasses. The battery is running low. We left off on MS01. Sorry, you have the in-house radio feed playing in the background on my alarm clock. MS01 is the mail server. Next, I got 2 print servers. One that's running legacy, server 2003. Gotta have that still running because of my XP machines and my classic Mac OS 9 Macs, the 97 Power Macintosh G3 and the 1999 iBook G3. because they run OS 9, Mac OS 9, so you have to have the Windows Server 2003 print server in order for them to be able to print. PS02 runs Server 2012, and it's basically for everything else to be able to print. Alright, after that, I got 3 different terminal servers. 3 terminal servers I have are one running Windows Server 2012 R2. This is WBTS. I've got one running Server 2003, and that is WLTS. There's that one. And then I've got an Apple terminal server as well, which this is running macOS 10.7 Lion. And the reason why is because the free software from CodeRebel, who does not exist anymore, the free version is only for Lion. They made one for going all the way to El Capitan, but they require you to purchase a license, and because the company is no longer in existence, you cannot purchase a license, so the software just will not work. And I've tried many different ways of reverse engineering this software to make it think that it's running on Lion when it's running on a newer version of Mac, but nothing works, so I keep it at Lion. Moving on, we have, these are some of the servers I've added recently. SRCH basically runs an in-house search engine. Sometimes I can't get it to even come up. I have to put some work into this. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Oh, you know what? I think I know why. It'll help if I specified a port number and turned off HTTPS. There it is. Got it. So that basically is completely anonymous to the internet. You can search for whatever you want to search for, and it won't allow the outside sources, the outside search engines to track you. Also, it doesn't just use Google, it uses pretty much every search engine available. Alright, that's that. Next, let's go back over here. VPN 1 and VPN 2. VPN 2 is a backup. It barely gets used at all. VPN 1 handles most of the VPN traffic coming into the network from outside. So if I'm at another location and I need to get onto my network, I can VPN in. And if this server gets clogged up or slows down or has too many connections, then I have a second one. XMPP, we have OpenFire chat throughout the network on whatever machines it'll work on. Some of the older PowerPC Mac machines, even though they do have a OpenFire Spark client, it just will not run. And I have battled with the Java runtime environment enough that I just give up because it's pointless. It works on Windows anywhere from XP to modern, and it also works on Mac OS 10.6 and above, I believe. That should be all 14 of the servers. And we can look at the storage architecture real quick. As soon as it decides to come up here. There it is. So I got 2 data stores set up. And it improperly reports the boot data store as SSD. Actually, no, that is SSD. Boot data store? Right. The file server data store is hybrid. It's not a non-SSD, it's hybrid. So, because of the some of the drives are mechanical and some are solid state. Anyway, that basically holds everything, and you can see there's 12.5 terabytes available out of a 13.5 terabytes total. So I'm only using about 1.1 terabytes of storage space. Besides using barely any of my storage space, it's just nice to have all that excess available power. Like, I could probably spin up 100 more virtual machines and not even stress my server at all. So, but I have no reason to do that. Everything's working for the most part the way I want it to. And allow me to show some of that. if you look here, let's go to this PC real quick. Oh, not reset this PC. You know what? We'll do this the easy way. Just open C drive and then go up a level. So you can see I've got the usual Windows folders here. I got 2 hard drives. Well, really it's 2 partitions. And if you might be able to see, one of them's running 10. The other one, if I reboot it, I can boot into XP. Also have my network storage. And that's coming from the Linux-based file server. So I can open that, and that's where you see my desktop, downloads, all that stuff is stored on the network. So yes, that does mean no matter where I log on at, if I create a new folder on my desktop, it'll be on the new folder. It'll be on that new folder will be on the desktop, whichever machine I'm on. So I don't need a new folder on my desktop. And I know I've got a corrupted recycle bin. I'll fix it later. Also, one thing that the file server does is because it's joined to Active Directory, it can tell that only one user is allowed to access said user's folder, and it will bar access to every other user. So, let me get onto the file server root real quick. And because I'm logged in as myself, it may throw an error because one single machine cannot connect to the file server simultaneously for 2 different users. So, of course, by default, the home share is home is there. Home is supposed to be hidden, but because I'm logged in as an authenticated user, home is available. And you can see that BroadNaxW, or my username, is the only folder that's available there. Administrator, I don't know why it's showing administrator again. That needs to stop. I'll fix it. I know how to fix it. But yeah, that's basically the root of my H drive right there on FS01. Right there on FS01. It's pretty much how all that works. Let me get on. I need an Apple machine, so let me go ahead and get on an Apple machine, and I'll show you the. All right, so it's been a few hours, and I got to the bottom of the problem of why the Apple machine was acting up. Now, you guys don't know the Apple machine was acting up because I went back in post and I deleted the footage of the Apple machine acting up. And so everything should be running normally now. Apparently what was happening was it was an issue with sharing and permissions from the Linux-based file server translating over to the Apple machines here. And it was starting to show its ugly head on the Windows machines as well. So I knew if we were having similar issues on both Windows and Mac, check the file server because there's one common denominator there. So, as I was trying to do before when everything's screwed up, and now it should be all working now. Let me log into the 2009 iMac here. I've got the 2007 sitting over here. Okay. Let's log in here real quick. Watch the background. See how it changed like that? Look at that. That's the subtle differences, right? That's the subtle things that you guys got to notice. Now, if you'll notice here, Spark is opening. That's going to automatically connect into OpenFire for the XMPP-based chat. And there we go. Now, let's go here to the desktop. So you see, I'm just going to leave this right here. And give me 1 second. I've got to log that back in because I had to get on a different account on it. So let's do that real quick. So let me just log back in over here. And we shouldn't have any problems over here either because all the little gremlin problems, if you will, should have gone away. But now we might get stuck here at applying folder redirection policy. Which is why I was wondering, it usually doesn't take that long. But I think if you log out and log back in, something gets stuck. So the best I can do is just sit here and wait. You guys won't have to sit here and wait because I'm going to make a edit and post right about now. Alright, you can see I got the desktop up now. Well, maybe you can. Let me see if I can zoom in for you real quick. Actually, I'll just throw a picture up. So that's my desktop. All the file server issues have been sorted out. There's no more gremlins going on. So, there. Knock on wood. Let me get back over here to this Apple machine. And show you what I got going on here. Alright, so if you recall, everything I said was, I said that everything is synchronized to the same file server. The problem with that is that when there's a synchronization or a permissions issue, it can wreak havoc on the whole network because there's multiple different operating systems of Windows, Mac, and Linux. So you've got to make sure permissions are set right. You've got to make sure that the share is accessible. And the one thing I really like about FreeNAS is that they have Active Directory compatibility, and not just through LDAP, but actually it will bind to the domain, which is really nice. I like to have one central storage server for all passwords, all authentication, and Active Directory does perfect. Until you come to managing Macs. It sucks at managing Apple machines. Although, in Microsoft's defense, it was not designed to do that, and that's just because Apple and Microsoft. However, DC02, which happens to run macOS Mountain Lion, the server variant of that, does a great job picking up the slack where Active Directory leaves off. As you can see, and let me get in on the close cam here. I cannot remove anything from the dock. That's a policy. I want exactly these icons in my dock, nothing else. And I don't want anybody to be able to screw with it, if you will. That is set using Open Directory. Open Directory, what you do with that is you put all of your you're going to put all of your users that you want to have a certain amount of permissions or whatever. You're going to want to put all of them into a new group in Active Directory. It's kind of redundant how you do this, or not redundant. That's not the right word. It's kind of well, I mean, you got to kind of go in a roundabout way to do it. So you put all the users that you want to have, say, permission or policy setting X. So you create a group in Active Directory, put all those users that you want policy setting X to apply to on Apple machines. Then on the Apple server, you go into Workgroup Manager, and you're going to add that policy group X group in Active Directory, add it over to Open Directory. Why do you have to do it this way? Because using Workgroup Manager on Mac, you cannot edit any Active Directory settings. Even if it's to apply Apple settings to Active Directory users, you cannot do that. It's not possible. So you have to create a local group on the Apple server and add all of the users from the Windows server over to the Apple server. Reason why I said to create a group in the Windows server is that way you don't have to touch the Apple server afterwards. All you've got to do is throw a user into said group, and the Apple server, which reads that group, will automatically apply settings to any new user added. It's so simple to do it that way. Creating a new user, all I've got to do is just add them to the Windows machine, or the Windows domain controller, and system does the rest. Quite nice. Anyway, this is my favorite part of this whole file server thing. So let me activate the closed cam real quick. And I'm just going to look at my desktop. I'm going to go Shift Command N, pull up a new folder, or make a new folder. But I want you to look here at my Windows desktop, and there is no new folder here. So watch. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to Shift Command N, and look at that. The untitled folder appeared right here on my Windows desktop as well. And you could tell it was created from Mac. Let me go over here closer real quick, because it's called untitled folder. If it was created on Windows, it would say new folder. Now, if we look back over here at the Apple, as soon as it does a little refresh here, there it is, new folder. So now there's two new folders, one created by the Windows machine and one created by this Mac. I will throw both of them into the recycle bin. I'm going to throw both of them in the recycle bin. Here, let's do that again real quick because I ran out of time. Recycle, or trash, excuse me, this is a Mac. And it already went away on there. You can't see it, but and the Explorer window that was open on the Windows machine reverted back to the desktop because the folder doesn't exist anymore. I'm going to go ahead and empty my trash real quick. So that's about 95% perfect focus synchronization. Overkill? Hell yeah, it's overkill. Do I like it that way? Hell yeah, I like it that way. Alright. So you can see that anything is available everywhere. It works all the way back to XP as well. And I've even gotten it to work on 2000, but I don't have any machines running Windows 2000 here, so we'll see what we got going on. I'm just going to move you over here so you have a better view of that. And I'm going to see if I can... There we go. Cool. Let me get on. I need to have my remote monitor so I can see what's going on. Cool. Let me get on the IBM laptop here. It's an IBM ThinkPad R51. And it does run XP Pro. So you can see, now that was one logon script that ran, and it should run the other one as well. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't need to. But it looks like that did work. Now, the reason why I have to have extra logon scripts for Windows XP is because Windows XP just can't synchronize properly. It's just too old. You can't synchronize the desktop onto the network. So I have a logon script that runs a registry key, excuse me, a logon script that adds registry entries to the registry to redirect the folders manually to the H drive. And then that same logon script will kill Explorer and restart it. So everything syncs perfectly. Okay. So, you know, Outlook works. Because of Active Directory, Outlook just opens right up. Yeah, it's going to say that I don't have SSL. And I'm just not going to pay for SSL. Okay, be quiet. Alright, I don't need XP up anymore. But that's basically how all of that works. Synchronizing the settings, you know, the desktops, icons. Now let's have a look here. That's all my legacy Apple stuff there. So those are two Power Macs. The one on the left is a G4, the one on the right is a G5. And let's have a better look at those, shall we? So there's the G4 there, the G5, Power Macintosh G3, And you can't see it on the main camera, but there's a Microsoft Surface Pro 3 hiding out back here, right around the corner. Over here off screen, and I will, let me move this out of the way. Let's get you a pan over there real quick. These are two PowerBook G4s. I think circa 2002, maybe a little later. They do what they're supposed to do for the most part. But pretty much the things that were important I showed you on the desktop, like synchronizing folders, but now I'm just showing the computers, you know, what I actually have running down here. So on my wooden table, it's a Gateway M320 on the left. In the middle, it's the Gateway is running XP. Everything here on this side of the room is running on solid state hard drives. A majority of everything in the whole network runs on solid state hard drives. There are some that don't. But anyway, left, Gateway M320, Windows XP Pro. The middle one, Acer Aspire 2920, and that is running Windows 10 Enterprise by default, but there's an XP Professional partition as the D drive. You can choose which one you want. On the right, my IBM ThinkPad R51 running XP Pro. You've already seen the Acer Veriton that I have used as my daily driver for a while. I have the Intel iMac 2007, the late 2007 iMac, Core 2 Duo, displaying the Flurry. And yes, that blue line is my video card starting to go out. No, I do not care. Next to that, I have a 2009. This is, I think this is a early 2009. Might be late. No. Hold on. We're going to go check. All right, let's see. This is an early 2009 24-inch MacBook, or excuse me, iMac. And over here is my late 2011 MacBook Pro. This also has a Snow Leopard partition on it, even though Snow Leopard will not run natively on it. It's very hard to put Snow Leopard on this thing. Right now it's on the El Capitan side, but it also has a Snow Leopard side, and it is almost impossible to put Snow Leopard on this thing. I had to use another MacBook, do a quick hard drive swap, an older MacBook, do a hard drive swap, install Snow Leopard, update it to 10.6.8. Then I could do the hard drive swap back, and then it would run. It just cannot run with stock 10.6 without this update package. I'm trying to lower you down a little bit, easily, because I don't want it to be... Can't really see much else of it, but that is my 1999 iBook G3. I'm going to hold the tripod in my hand here so I can see. Now, anybody who's an Apple fan will know that there's a serious problem here. Why is half of it blueberry and half of it tangerine? Well, I'll tell you why. I had a blueberry G3 and I had a tangerine G3. The logic board failed on the tangerine G3 and the screen failed on the blueberry G3. So what do? I take the working parts from each one and I build a Frankenstein. And yes, it is running Mac OS 9.2.2. So this is not OS 10. This is classic Mac OS 9. And I will show you the way that I've implemented that into my network here. Being that Active Directory is not compatible with OS 9, neither is Open Directory. So we'll get into that. Let's see. I want to actually use the Power Macintosh to do that. I don't want to do it on this. So let's switch angles here. Here at the Power Macintosh G3, the 1997. And first thing I notice is that the domain name is different. Under server, it says MMGRSVR, internal.thebiteccorporation.com. All the other machines just say internal.thebiteccorporation.com. Reason for that is that you cannot use OS 9 with Active Directory. You can't really use OS 9 with any form of directory besides one, and that is Apple's Macintosh Manager. Macintosh Manager is antiquated, runs like crap, but it's the only way to manage OS 9. And you have to run it on a PowerPC Mac running no later than 10.4.11 Tiger. So I'm sitting here at the Power Macintosh G3, the 1997, and first thing I noticed is that the domain name is different. Under server, it says mmgrsvr.internal.thebiteccorporation.com. All the other machines just say internal.thebiteccorporation.com. Reason for that is that you cannot use OS 9 with Active Directory. You can't really use OS 9 with any form of directory besides one, and that is Apple's Macintosh Manager. Macintosh Manager is antiquated, runs like crap, but it's the only way to manage OS 9. And you have to run it on a PowerPC Mac running no later than 10.4.11 Tiger. Now, I didn't have a PowerPC Mac running 10.4.11 Tiger. So, because all my PowerPC Macs run Leopard 10.5.8. So I actually had to go and I had to purchase a Mac Mini G4. And so that was supposed to work just fine. However, I ran into a series of problems with that. And the problems I ran into with the G4 Mac Mini were that you cannot install Panther 10.3 onto it natively, because that's just too old of an operating system. The same thing happened when I tried to install Snow Leopard on my 2011 MacBook. It's just too old. It wouldn't boot off the disk. So how do we fix that? Well, first, why did we need Panther in the first place? I needed Tiger. Tiger's 10.4, but you have to install Panther if you're going to set up Macintosh Manager. This is another crazy thing that Steve Jobs did. Rest in peace. But seriously, you made some crazy, fucked up decisions, bro. You cannot just You cannot just set up Mac OS 10 server version 10.4 Tiger and have Macintosh Manager work. It is not an available option at all whatsoever. Nothing you can do. In order to get Macintosh Manager to show up, you have to first install 10.2 Jaguar server or 10.3 Panther server. And I wasn't going to try and screw with 10.2, so I just got a copy of 10.3 Panther server, and I was actually running that on there for the longest time. I couldn't get it to install on there because it's too old. So what I had to do was use my G5 here, firewire both of them, the G4 Mac Mini and this Power Mac G5 together, throw the Mac Mini in target disk mode, and use my G5 Power Mac to install Panther server over a firewire cord, running at 400 megabits per second, which is painfully slow to do an operating system install. Nevertheless, got it done, got it running. As soon as I installed it, apparently Apple's checks are only when you're installing the operating system, not when you're booting it. So I could boot into Panther right on the Mac Mini itself after I finished installing it. That worked for a while. Then I got sick of how old Panther was and how it wasn't really operating the way I wanted it to. So I was reading the manual. It said you can upgrade from Panther Server to Tiger Server and it will keep Macintosh Manager. But as soon as you upgrade to Leopard Server, you lose Macintosh Manager. So I upgraded it to Tiger Server and Macintosh Manager is still there. The longest runaround fucking process ever. Anyway. I'm just waiting on my monitor to wake up here, my Apple Watch remote camera. There it is. Anyway. Because you can't connect to Active Directory from here, I had to create on Macintosh Manager, so on that G4 Mac Mini, I had to create 2 user accounts. One for users, one for admins. And I wrote it on every machine here that runs Mac OS 9. There's a little sign written on it. This machine runs Mac OS 9 and does not support the central Active Directory logon system. Instead, use the following credentials to sign in. A shortcut to the network file server, or I should have wrote an alias to the network file server, will be available on the desktop. Use your central login credentials to access the file server. So you see it has the username and password written out here. So of course, there it is. Hard drive was sleeping for a second. I had to wake it up. So let's get on here. And hopefully it doesn't decide to lock up, because sometimes these like to lock up. There it is. And that's the problem with Mac OS 9. If it locks up, there's no force quit. You just have to shut the machine down and reboot it. So I'm here, let's see. As the sign on the computer said, there's a little globe icon here, Network Mounts OS 9. That's actually coming from the Macintosh Manager server. And why it's called Network Mounts OS 9 is that I could actually join an OS 10 machine, a Mac OS 10 machine, to Macintosh Manager and log in with the same credentials as the Mac OS 9 machine can log in with, and have Macintosh Manager control that as well. Why didn't I do that? Because I already have Open Directory running on Mountain Lion server, much newer. Would it have been nicer to have one machine to manage all Macs? Yes, but that's not possible. So anyway, it throws a Network Mounts OS 9 on the desktop. And if you can see this, we've got the 5 main network shares, including a link to Outlook web app. And this is the reason, the single solitary reason why I still use Outlook 2010. Because if you upgrade to any other version of Exchange, you will not be able to use it on OS 9. But as soon as Classella fires up here, and I bypass a few security warnings, look at that. It actually lets me get on Exchange email on Mac OS 9. So it's loading up here. There it is. Got it. All right. So that works. And this is the best part. You can't have a password on Mac OS 9 longer than 8 characters. So what do? How do you expect I'm going to be able to log on to the file server? Well, here's the thing. A network password can be longer than 8 characters. So I can literally click on the home folders shortcut or alias. It'll pop up a nice little username and password window, and I can enter Active Directory credentials. And just like that, that's my home folder from the rest of the network. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? Now it looks like my close cam storage is full, so I will have to come back to this. Let me go dump the memory real quick. Alright, so you can see I have the desktop folder here, and let's go ahead and create a new folder in it. So untitled folder, that's right here, and you see it. So let's go see what happened on the Windows machine. So let's log back into the Windows machine here. And that's the wrong password. Just give me a quick refresh here. Oh, there we are, right here on the desktop, untitled folder. That was created from OS 9. And it's synchronized, because I put it on my desktop, it's synchronized over here. I just went and deleted it. I'm gonna lock this back up. I'm gonna head back over there. Okay. Here I am. Well, for the main camera, I didn't really go anywhere. I was just on the other side of the room, but I had the close cam with me. So, still shows it there, but as soon as I close and reopen the Finder window, it is gone. Now, it's gone now, and I'm repeating this because I'm just activating the close camera. And that's because I deleted it on the Windows 10 machine over there. And that's perfect synchronization. I would show the print server, but it's just a virtual machine that tells all three printers in the building what to do. What's nice is that the one running Server 2003 has AppleTalk compatibility. So a Microsoft server actually has AppleTalk compatibility. That is how I can go to Chooser on Mac, and if my AppleTalk settings were actually set right, let's fix this really quick. Oh, not Chooser. Let me think. Let me see if I can remember it. It would be AppleTalk, but can't get on there because that is not allowed for a non-admin user. So I have to log out, and let's see if it'll let me in. So let's see. Yeah, damn it. There we go. System access. So this should allow me to access. Yep, this is the local account, not network. So now let's see, AppleTalk settings, and it is using the wrong port again. So switch AppleTalk to Ethernet, and there are no zones set up, so it's going to say no zones available. We're going to close it. It's going to ask, do you want to save? And it's going to switch the connection. And the connection is now switched. So log out. And now that we're back at the login window, let's log back in as the regular user. That's wrong. There we go. Oh, looks like it hanged. Be right back. Gotta reboot. did not shut your computer down properly, skip. If it wouldn't crash, I wouldn't have to shut it down improperly. So I'm not waiting for it to do disk checking. The disk is fine. And we are still waiting for the login window to appear. My thinking is that it is going to need some work done to it. So I'm going to readjust the camera and we're going to move over to the iBook G3 so that we can get this done. Well, in the time it took me to move the camera over to have it focused on this iBook, and I had a phone call I had to deal with, the Power Macintosh G3 decided to come back to the login window. So I'm not going to remove the camera again. I'm just going to use the iBook. Well, now this one wants to hang. Are you kidding me? This one doesn't take as long to come back. What caused that to stop? Alright, so now that this thing is finally rebooted, gone through its whole bullcrap of not wanting to display a login window, it's finally decided to display the login window. So let's finally just log back into it.
I just set the AppleTalk settings, so now Chooser should work. And that is not the right password. Nope, that's not it either. I don't even have to hit enter. I know what the password is and I know where my fingers land. Now can we get in here this time? Yep, okay, the appearance changed, good. Yeah, I'm starting to get a desktop. Okay. Apple Chooser. Printers, and there we go. PS01, or the print server running
Server 2003, has AppleTalk compatibility. It will feed out the printers over AppleTalk to machines running OS 9 or even early OS 10 machines. And that is awesome because now I literally can just here, let me just pull up something here. Apple Works. Let me get this to be a big font size. Test. Page. I said I want a big font size, thank you. 48 is fine. Command P.
and I'll tell it Basement LaserJet, which is the same printer names that are on the Windows and the newer Macs, Basement LJ or Basement LaserJet. And we're going to send it over. It's going to go from here to PS01, and PS01 will print it. Don't mind the alarm. That is just because my laser printer uses a high number of amps. That is the UPS going into alarm saying that the breaker could trip soon. And there we go. Let's have a look and see what we got here. Looks good. This was already sitting there. Yeah. looks pretty good.
One thing you can't do is you cannot print in color from a OS 9 machine. It does not allow you to print color. It doesn't recognize what the colors are. It will print everything in grayscale. However, with this setup and the network file server, I could actually work on a Photoshop project on here. And yes, that would be an Adobe Photoshop 7, which I do have.
And I hope I didn't tank the machine again. I've got to slow down when I do this. Oh, here it is. It's coming. I've got to be patient, because if I do keep clicking shit, it will tank the machine.
I think it's been tanked. Nothing's responding. Command Option Escape. Oh, as soon as I hit Command Option Escape, of course something happens. I can close all this crap. Let's go over here. Adobe Photoshop 7. So I can create a new document here. I don't know, I don't really mess with Photoshop that much unless I have to, but test PSD, and it's going to be .psd anyway. So there's that. Let's just I don't know, something simple. It's really hard to see with these Ray-Ban stories on. Okay. Keep in mind, I'm using Mac OS 9 right now to do this. And my handwriting sucks with a rollerball mouse, but let's Command S that, Command Save.
And here's the thing, because you're on Mac OS 9, you might be able to go to recent servers. However, you can actually just go to Desktop, open Network Mounts OS 9, and open User Home Folders. And you can sign in through Finder. Let's log in as myself now. And now look, you can save it directly onto the file server. Documents, save. It's not making a local copy, it's saving it right on the file server. Let's close out of Photoshop and quit Photoshop as well. There we go. Say I wanted to use it on another machine.
For example, this G5 here. Let me log into the G5 real quick.
See if I'm able to, or if I got to reboot it. When I let these sit for like a couple of days, sometimes they just disconnect and oh, that's working. Well, yeah, sometimes they disconnect and you got to reboot them to get them to connect back to the server. So here we are. Now I'm logged on. It's still loading. There's still some things that have to be done. There we go. Now, let's go home. So Shift Command H, Documents, Test PSD.psd. It's right there. So open that. You'll see we have Adobe CS4, Creative Suite 4 running. And repair that. Now I got to enter admin credentials here really quick. Hold on. There we go. So that's going to load Photoshop CS4. With all these messages and warnings. But as soon as it pulls that picture, the PSD file, it's loading it probably. Oh. Maybe I need to manually open it. There it is. Look at that. Moved right across the network. Now, can I open the same thing on two machines at once? And really that depends on what program you're using. If you're using AppleWorks, no. If you're using Microsoft Office, also no. However, Microsoft Office will tell you that that file is in use or locked for editing. And you can have it receive a notification when the file is available to be edited, or you can view it read-only, or you can save a copy of it. Now let's see if I can go into documents here. I have it open on here. Let's see what Photoshop does if I throw this at it. So Photoshop 7 is coming up. Hopefully my G3 doesn't tank on me. There we go. I'm just waiting for it to come in. It does not. That is interesting. Okay, so it doesn't realize that the same document is open on another machine. So I wonder what kind of havoc that would cause if I made different changes to the same document from two different machines and simultaneously saved it. I'm not trying it. I don't want this I don't want my file server to have a heart attack. I will Command Q that and quit it out. And I'll quit it out over here too. I want to show you how I would love for it to work. So let's go to Applications here. I'm going to go ahead and fire up Word 2008. There's Word 2008 coming up, and over here I am going to grab Word 2001. While we're still waiting on that to come up over here, the 2008, I'm going to go to Applications over here, and it should be in here somewhere. There's Word 2008 on the G5, Microsoft Office 2001, and here's Word 2001 here. Alright, let's go. I need a big font just so I can see what I'm doing here. So I just typed testing 1 2 3. We'll save it in the documents folder. Now, the one thing I did that messed up is I saved it as a docx. And you can't access docx from older version of Mac. So let's set this to Word 97 to 2004. So just .doc. And you see it activated compatibility mode. I'm going to leave it here. Now, let's go over here. I got to hurry up quickly because the battery's going low on my close cam. Documents, testing 123.doc. Let's close that. That's just a blank document. Let's see. Broadnax W testing. Testing 123.doc is being used by another user. Do you want to make a copy? No, I don't. Okay. And we'll just quit out of this over here. I didn't need to quit Word, but I could have just closed it, but I quit Word. Now, Open the same document again. It says, hey, I'm not in use anymore. So as soon as it can download the document off of the file server, which I do hope happens before my glasses go dead here, and the close cam is Ray-Ban, is my pair of Meta Ray-Ban Stories. But as you can see, it opened right up perfectly. You know, for shits and giggles, what happens if you open the docx? Huh. Will that work? Oh, no, convert file. Okay. Now, can I convert it? And if you look here, let me access the main camera because my close cam just died on me. But if you look here, opening a docx in Word 2001 will result in rubbish being thrown all over the screen. So that's not happening. Save it as a .doc if you want to be able to use it over here on the older machine. Quit. Close all that. Close all this. So this is basically using the network services from such an old machine running OS 9. Now, let's log out of it, because there's nothing really else to do on it. I suppose I could have demonstrated AppleWorks, but it's the same basic thing. One interesting thing is that when it comes to using programs like LibreOffice, or I think LibreOffice has the best way of handling if a file's in use. So it won't just say the document's in use, but it will actually figure out who is using that document. So say it's a document in the share drive, and I open it and say somebody else opens it. They'll get a notification saying that BITeC Systems whack broadnaxw or BITeC Systems / broadnaxw is using this document. And they can open it read only. And I just think that that's nice, and that actually works between LibreOffice on Mac and LibreOffice on Windows. So it appears that my G3 has decided to tank itself again, so let's reboot it. I'm not needing it anymore, so we'll just let it sit here. And if you guys wanted to know, the Surface tablet actually is right here. I can move the camera so you may see it. There it is, right there. If you wanted to look inside the network infrastructure, all the wiring, from down there, there's a 24-port Ethernet switch and a Cisco SPI 8800, I believe, with the 8 FXS ports for analog. And then 8-port PO injector, power over Ethernet. Now let's go back over here. This is the back wall. Well, not there. Let me adjust you here. This is the back wall. So starting from left to right, IBM ThinkPad 390X, I think. But there's that, and it's twin. Both running XP, and these are the 390s that have the Pentium 3 processor. Third down is an IBM ThinkPad 600, and that actually has, believe it or not, a Pentium 2 processor in it. And then, because I had an extra Apple laptop sitting around, it's a 2004 or 2005, I don't know, it's in that area, iBook G4 12-inch. And it's just sitting there, and I've got this entire bench powered. And there's a switch dedicated to this bench.
Over here, for the longest time, I thought this was another Acer Veriton L460, but it's the AMD variant, and I didn't realize until recently that it's actually a different model number. It's the Acer Veriton L410. So yes, this only has a single DVI output on it, and it's got a lot of issues. So far, I've got it behaving itself pretty well, but it's only got a single DVI output, and the internal sound card is completely borked. So no sound whatsoever. I had to buy a USB sound card and that speaker right there that's underneath the monitor. So that will actually get power from the computer as well. And the USB sound card allows me to bypass the built-in internal borked one. And I just pray that the video card issues don't come back. I mean, they seem to be dormant for right now, but they may pop up any second. Who knows? Anyway, that's pretty much everything I have down here. Well, of course, the printer. HP OfficeJet Pro 8600 Premium. Double-sided. I'm not talking to you, Siri. Shut the fuck up. And then HP Color LaserJet CP 2025. And those are my two printers I have down here. There's one more printer here in this building, but I'm not going to show that part of the system off. There's no more servers. It's just a couple more computers upstairs. That'll maybe be in another video. However, now I think it's time for what seems to be y'all favorite part of my system, and that's the phone system. So let me get ready for that, and let's go.
Please hold while your call is being transferred. There's an outside call parked on
101.
So here we are, the phone system. I've called into my office. I'm on hold. But if you listen, it's the same music that's being played over the in-house broadcasting. Comes from the same source. Now, the phone announcement said there's an outside call parked on 101. So that means I can go to any phone, type in 101, and now I have that call. I can talk to the person, and they're no longer parked on 101. They've been connected to my extension here, or not mine, because it's not my extension, 3202. That happens to be the workbench line I'm using right now. So, as usual, there's the basic phone system tricks you can do. So let me just take that off speakerphone real quick, and I'm going to do a transfer. And this is an analog phone here, so transfer would be hook flash For a blind transfer, now you hear we get a different dial tone. So we're going to punch in *98. That's blind transfer. Now 3201. And that sends the call to basement desk 3201. I will answer the call here, basement desk, and notice I have all these feature-rich options on the screen here. I wish I could show it clearly, but my close cam battery is still dead. It is charging right now. So I'm actually going to try and get in there a little bit closer. Let me just put this down real quick. Let's see if we can get in here. Okay. So you see I've got the BLF saying basement desk is off the hook. Nobody's in the call park because I just took this call out of the call park. But if I send another call to the call park, let's just
Thank you for calling freeweathercall.com. Your forecast and
So
special
I'll park
features are
that
coming
quickly.
right up.
Transfer. 101.
see call park light lit up. And so you've got BLFs for all the necessary things that I would like to keep monitored here. Anyway, let me go ahead and clear that out real quick. So that was on 101. And see how I switched to basement workbench before it hung up? That's where I picked it up from. All right, I can go ahead and end this call here. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna send it to Park. So just 774 and transfer. There it is. It's a missed call notification, but I can hang this up now. Calls parked, stays lit, and if you go over here to the, hold on 1 second. Before I get too far carried away and forget to do it, this is the Astra 6739i. It's running Mitel firmware because Mitel bought out Astra. Over here is a 6757i with the M670, the whatever you call that, the M670. And if you look in here, let's wake it up. So if you look in here, well, that focus is way off. So this has every extension monitored. So now we'll go to page 2. We'll see that Call Park 101 is in use. And while it supports up to 110, I think I only have up to 108 registered on this thing. Anyhow, there's that. Let me go ahead and clear this out real quick. You can, if I do this here, you can just, and the person can hang up the phone on the other end, and the call park will clear automatically. It doesn't keep itself parked. So, I know you heard the other ringers besides the actual phones. So let me show what else is on this system. So the first extension you heard ring was extension 3000, main line. You heard it do a double ring, so 2 short rings, and that means it's an external call from outside the building. 3000 is registered to every IP phone here. The 3 down here and the 2 upstairs. 3000 also, by means of that Cisco FX or that Cisco SPY 8800, is registered to this trim line. And if we can rotate the camera, that unit in cordless as well. So 3000 will ring all of those. So there are 3 different types of extensions in this system. There's the IP phone, the analog, and then the soft phone clients. 3000 has endpoints of each of those 3 types on it. So sometimes 3000 won't synchronize properly, and I'll have ghost calls. Not to the actual desk phones or anything, but I'll get ghost calls to say the iPhone. Yeah, this is an iPhone 5. I know it's very old, and it's seen worse shape. In fact, I just threw a fit of rage because it wasn't working, and I threw it and I chipped the camera. But shit happens. I'm having a hard time putting my password in on this thing because the screen is so screwed up. If this keeps not working, I will go get the iPhone 7 from upstairs. You gotta just find its sweet spot. I don't ever have to worry about turning this thing on because usually it just works. I don't have to worry about unlocking it all. All right, let's see if I can get it unlocked. I'll figure it out. All right, I got it. It just took some fucking with, and then it started working. So we use the Zulu soft phone. You may have seen a glimpse of that on my desktop when I first logged in. But basically, this just ties us right to the phone system, and it works anywhere because the necessary ports are forwarded for Zulu. No, Zulu does not use port 5060 or for secure port 5061. It has a proprietary port, number 8002, that basically creates a tunnel between the phone server and wherever this client is, and will allow that app to work anywhere it's connected to the internet. So I could literally just go in here, and this thing, I need to replace this anyway. It's very old, and it's actually starting to bulge because the battery's bad. But I can do 3201, and that should go right to Basement Desk. Basement Desk has it has 3 IP phones and 1 analog extension. The 1 analog extension powers the BITeC cordless phones down here, which there's one of them right there. There's 4, but 1 base, so 1 analog extension. That basically works like that. I really don't want to shut this off because I don't think it's going to work anymore. And this home button's going bad too. Oh no, I didn't want Siri to come up. This thing is a piece of junk. There we go. Apparently my home button seems to be acting up. I think I may need to enable assistive touch. Hold on. Oh, look at that. The home button works now. Yep, it works now. Apparently I'm gonna have to use something to hold this shut because the battery's bulging so much that it's going to it keeps pushing the screen off the phone. I need to replace this, I know. I don't feel a need to immediately because it's not a daily driver cell phone. It's just a cheap piece of shit. This isn't just any iPhone 5. This iPhone 5 can never be serviced because it is a Sprint iPhone 5. And with the Sprint T-Mobile merger, this CDMA only iPhone 5 can get LTE on the Sprint network only. And since the Sprint network doesn't exist, it can never be serviced. So that's a little bit of information about that. I'm going to plug it back into the charger before it does something else to piss me off and I end up throwing it and completely shattering it. Okay. You may have also heard the high-pitched, I don't know, kind of sound like a hospital phone ringtone. I'm going to do this here. If you look over here,
It's a Spectralink, so a Polycom Spectralink Pivot 8741, and that is registered to extension 5232 direct SIP. So Zulu is not running on the Spectralink. Also, the extension for that iPhone is 3000, same as the desk phone and the other. But I actually don't just have one Spectralink, and what we're gonna do, I'm gonna zoom out real quick. I can't zoom out. Great. Okay. I'll just manually zoom out by moving the tripod back. Let's open the cabinet here, and we'll see that I have. If we can get in here a little bit more, hold on. It's not easy being my own camera guy here. There are 6 more Spectralinks down there. From extension 5233 on the top left, 45 in the bottom row, 5236, 5237, and 5238. They just sit there in case they're needed. The one on my desk that's plugged in is 5232, and the one that's upstairs is 5231. So I have a total of 8 of them. Why do I have 8? Because I found a deal on eBay. I wanted 1, but the guy wanted to sell me 8 because he wanted to get rid of the whole stash, and he sold it to me dirt cheap. I mean, dirt cheap. I'm paying pennies and nickels for something that's a piece of shit. The Spectralinks here are capped at Android version 5.0. Yes. Ancient. And very slow. And these Spectralinks, they're designed to be used for work and work only. They have a measly 8 gigabytes of storage space on them. Because no one's supposed to store anything on there. There's no camera, no cellular radio. Wi-Fi only. Perfect for down here in the lab. All right. Now, maybe y'all have seen the videos on TikTok when I, demonstrate like the PA system and all that crazy shit. But and the other videos on TikTok where I show what the different way the phones ring, what it means. But I guess I'll just briefly go over that real quick. So let me grab. This phone is a personal landline, not tied to the system in any way whatsoever. So this is what I use to test the system from outside. So first, let's get an inside call to 3000. So for that, I'm going to take 3201 over here, and I'll just punch in 3000. Single ring. The iPhone may or may not ring depending on how it wants to act. Boring. It's a fucking phone ring. Hang up. Alright. Now. I'm trying to readjust the camera so we can see that. I'm going to go ahead and call in to 3000 externally. So let me just tilt this down here for you and zoom in on it real quick. There we go. Now there's that ghost call.
BITeC Systems. Please dial your party's 4-digit extension number and then press the pound key.
3000. So see the IP phones. Oh, that was actually a really quick response from the iPhone. Here it is.
Thank you for calling BITeC Systems. At the tone, please leave a message.
So if you call directly to any extension, it will at the end it'll go to voicemail. It's only when the main line is ringing via the main queue, and it's not really a queue, it's the main group. That way after it's rang like 5 times, it will excuse me, it will park. That was my personal line ringing. I am not answering it right now. Anyway, that's basically that. There's also priority calling. I will demonstrate that. Basically, all that does is make the phones triple ring. 3000. See how everything's ring, 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 triple ring. Now let me tilt this upwards a little bit here. I'm gonna go ahead and answer that real quick over here. I just put it down. But I'm going to show you that even works with the analogs, like the Lucent 8110M. You might not be able to see it because it's kind of far. But I'm going to go ahead and transfer it over there. First, I want to show you what an inside call looks like. So I'm just going to go here. I'm going to dial 3203. So that's an inside call. We'll do an outside call real quick. Hold on. I left the damn line on hold there. Alright, here we go. So I'm dialing into the system right now. I'm making a double ring outside call to 3203. Here we go. That went good. And now, because I still have this call sitting here, the priority call, I'm going to transfer to 3203 and we'll hear it triple ring. It does a single ring first because I did not do a blind transfer. I did an attended transfer. So it does a single ring and then it upgrades to a triple ring. So I went ahead and hung up on that one. All right. That's basically that. Now, of course, recently I've added the valet pager system. We always had the main pager, the 81651. But there are other paging zones available. And I figured I would show some of those today as well, since this is a full overview. So I'm actually going to position you right here. I'm going to try to position you right there so you can see both the 6739 and the 6757. And let's see if we can get this to work right. So the best phone I found to do a page is one of the Panasonic cordlesses on... Well, best cordless phone to do a page is one of the Panasonic cordlesses on 3203. The best corded phone by far that's an analog phone to do a page is one of the Lucents, because the microphones are just that damn good. So I'm going to go on the Panasonic here, and I'm going to key in 81650. And right as I talk, well, as soon as it comes in, right as I talk, it'll be on the speakers, just like that. I can't talk over myself. Check 1 2 3. Check 1 2 3. All right, that was 81,650. That does everywhere, down here, upstairs, and over the radio feed. Which actually, the radio feed. Here, I need to bring that out real quick. We'll go over there and look at that real quick. The radio feed broadcasts on 95.9 FM with inside the house. And it's basically an internet radio stream coming from here, the Raspberry Pi 4, going right into that whole home transmitter. And that also connects to a multicast stream coming from the phone system. I'm just using VLC here to pick it up on the Raspberry Pi. But the phones, that's how they see pages, is through multicast. But you can just use VLC on any computer and tune into the same multicast address. Or in this case, I have it set so it's multiple different multicast addresses. And the advantage of doing that is I can zone paging based on room or location. So if I key in 81651, so 81,651, check 1, 2, 3. Now originally 81,650 and 81,651 were slightly different, but come to find out that Zulu doesn't support paging on the mobile devices, which would be nice to be able to hear the pages coming over the app. It doesn't work. Can't figure out a way to make it work. So 81,650 and 81,651 do the exact same thing. Only difference is the alert tone is different. So 81,650. Let it reset. Is it going to fail to reset on me? Do I got to go in here and reset it myself? Yeah, it's going to fail to reset. All right, now I've reset it. It gets stuck like that sometimes if I send a page and I hang up before it actually starts having me have a hot mic or a live microphone, then the phone system locks itself expecting that hot mic to arrive. So if I just key in the code to page and then I immediately hang up, it will lock the pager so that way it's expecting me to pick the phone back up and continue paging. But as soon as I hang up the phone, the Cisco box over there drops the line. So there is no way to get that back. So basically I just have to kill all channels on the phone system using terminal. And yeah, that drops any active calls, but it also clears the pager. All right, next, zone paging. I have 81602 for down here. 81603 is also in existence, but that solely goes upstairs. You won't even hear it from down here. And then 81604 just goes to the multicast tied to the Raspberry Pi, so you'll hear it over my little clock radio sitting right here. So let's do 81602. New bell tone added. Check it out. Check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3. Basement desk page. Basement desk page. There's that. And I'm not going to bother with 03 because I'm not going to go upstairs. But 81604. It's a little clock radio there. Check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3. So any radio in the area tuned to 95.9 FM will, as long as they're inside this house, they'll be able to hear anything that I say. And of course, 81651 and 81650 go everywhere. So the radio, basement, upstairs. Now, the part that everybody loves. 81694. Excuse me real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, now for everybody's favorite part. 81694. And if you've watched the TikTok videos, you know that that's the bells. 81694. This one you can hang up quick. I didn't hang up quick. I left it sit. But let's try that again. I'll actually hang up this time, and you'll see that the phone server knows how to automatically end it, how to automatically end the session when it comes to using the bells. So I'll go here, 81694 pound, and then end. Watch that little red light on the phone. There it is. See it cut off? Yep. All right. And those of you saying I ripped that from Wyoming, I did not rip that from Wyoming. That is actually one of the tones on the Duquesne PBX paging system. Either Duquesne or Roland. Somebody correct me, please. I don't know. I can't remember. But that's one of the default tones. I did rip it from one of those systems. Not the one at Wyoming. But it was ripped from a system. I cannot mention what system I ripped it from for security reasons. However, I also ripped the other tone, the Westminster Chimes. Those of us who went to Wyoming know that they use that as the lockdown tone in the elementary school. Really, it has no purpose, and there is a bug that gets fired on it every time I run it here, which causes me to have to reset the phone system. But I will show you that anyway. So that is 81699. And I completely misdialed that. Let me try that again. 81699. There we go. And it's going to lock itself there. So I need to jump over here and reset the phone system. So let me get here. Let me put the close cam back on. Hold on. Should be charged by now.
All right, so over here I need putty and IP address. You see how it still says paging here? It's stuck. So let's get on here. Root. Asterisk. Flag R. And then channel. Request. Hang up. All. And there it goes.
Exit twice, and that takes care of putty. Phone system's reset, quick and easy. I can even do it from Termius on my iPhone, but obviously I'm using my iPhone to record the videos, so that's not happening. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. The valet pager, the newest feature we have. So you know how, I don't know if you've seen it at the airports or whatnot, the person working behind the desk will make an announcement, but you won't hear it over the you won't hear it on the loudspeaker until after they're done, and it's been a few seconds. So let me show that real quick. I have that set up. It's what's called valet paging. So you saw how when I put in 81651 or whatnot, it was right as soon as I talked, you heard it come out the speakers. So 81698 is the valet pager. And I showed this on TikTok, but this is basically what it does. I'm trying to get in front of the cameras. We can all see this. So 81698. Check 1 2 3. Check 1 2 3. Valet pager, system test. Valet pager, system test. And we hang up. After a few seconds, the phone system will process it and check 1 2 3. Check 1 2 3. Valet pager, system test. Valet pager, system test. And that's basically how that works. So, all these features I have just bundled in here. Not to mention, going back to the computer, everything uses Active Directory. Besides OS 9, like I demonstrated earlier, however, I found the workaround allowing OS 9 to sign into the file server, and the file server will ask for the Active Directory credentials. That's a perfect workaround. Windows, of course it uses Active Directory. Windows is Active Directory. The Mac machines, the modern ones, yeah, they work just fine with Active Directory. The phone system, you can log into the phone system because it's got an LDAP component. You can log into it using Active Directory. ESXi, the VMware, the hypervisor, the web menu, the web admin menu. It has Active Directory logon compatibility. The Exchange, of course, Exchange is older than Active Directory, from what I've heard. I don't know, I never actually did the research. I'm just going off what other people said. Exchange is older than Active Directory. It works perfectly. Single sign-on and all that shit. And then we have Radius. It's amazing, I love it. In fact, I'm using it right now to have my phone on the Wi-Fi, because everything is, let's pan you over here real quick. This is going to be a long shot. But you remember the Airport Extreme? There's one down here and there's one upstairs. And what's nice about those is that they can be configured as Radius clients. And basically Radius Wi-Fi, that is when you click on the Wi-Fi, I don't know if you've been on a school campus, like college, and instead of just asking for a Wi-Fi password, it's going to ask you for a username and password. Let me get my monitor up here so I can see if I'm on screen or not. So it's going to ask you for a username and password. And that username and password is going to be tied to a central database somewhere. In this case, Active Directory. Like, why not? So, there are actually 3 Radius clients here. There's the Airport Extreme over there, the Airport Extreme upstairs, and then directly behind the camera, if I want to get up and show you, there's an Airport Express down here. So basically, no matter where I go in my area, down or up, everything will jump right on the closest one. And it uses my Active Directory credentials to log in, which is really nice, because if I happen to change my password here on my desktop, it's changing everywhere. There's no, oh, I forgot to change it on one machine. No, this isn't any of that Windows 2000 roaming profile bullshit. No, this is Active Directory. Big boys in the building. And I should know, I used to fuck around with Windows 2000 and roaming profiles, and oh god, that was a nightmare. Why set up a profile and have it roam if it's not going to apply to every system the same goddamn way? It won't. I can't build a profile for XP and expect it to run right on Windows 10 or Windows 8.1. No, it's not going to work. But what I can do is use the hell out of group policy and use settings on group policy that will work with XP as well as 10. And when there are issues, all I've got to do is write batch scripts to fix those issues. So like, for example, the Windows XP machines would not synchronize the desktop at one point in time properly. It would require manual registry editing to set all the things. I don't want anybody to have to deal with that. I want it to just work. So in group policy on the domain controller, I put in a logon script for all the Windows machines. Says add user shell folders, redirect them all to H:/ which is a network drive, and then the folder. So H:/ desktop, H:/ documents, H:/ downloads, etc., etc., etc. So every time the system logs on, I want it to make sure that those user shell folders are in place. And if they're not in place, set them in place. And even if they are in place, set them in place again. So that makes absolutely sure that all machines will be synchronized properly. Then, because it's XP and XP wants to be XP, you have to refresh Explorer, which I didn't know you could do it like that. See, previously I saved all the user shell folder modifications to a .reg file, and I just put it in the H drive for people to use. But no, now it automatically applies it silently, so it doesn't ask the user for a username and password. It just elevates itself to admin and adds it to the local registry. And then the second command in that batch script is it kills Explorer and restarts it instantly. So that way the desktop will refresh and all your desktop icons will appear. That just works. And then, you know, the housekeeping things like the wallpaper. It's a JPEG file. I originally had the domain controller serving that JPEG file, and I had a copy of it on the Apple server serving the Apple machines. There's one problem here. Look at my assortment of computers. This isn't a damn professionally funded computer lab where everything's the same size. I got a 24-inch machine there, a 20-inch machine there, 3 21-inch monitors there, 15-inch MacBook Pro, wherever it is, there it is. Yeah, it's a smorgasbord of monitor sizes, which means it's a smorgasbord of resolutions. So how do you go about that? You can't have it resize the image on the fly. I mean, you could, but that's like stretching the image. It's not going to be as clear. So I find the computer's native resolution, and I make that image that resolution on that computer. On the Windows machines, I store it in C Windows Web Screen. C /Windows/Web/Screen, and store it like that on every Windows machine. On XP, the screen folder doesn't exist, so I just create a screen folder inside C Windows Web. On the Apple machines, I put the background under /library/desktop pictures, the proper size. And so then on the Windows domain controller on group policy, I just tell it to use C Windows Web Screen desktop.jpg. And on the Apple, on the Mac server, I tell it any bound machine is to use /library/desktop picture, or I can't remember what I call it. I think it's BITeC. But yeah, it works. And then the simple housekeeping things. Of course, Windows is pretty good about having the lock screen wallpaper stay. Even on XP, it works. XP, all you got to do is just change one registry setting, and then you can customize the background on the lock screen. Windows 10 and Windows 8.1 can actually receive a lock screen command from group policy. Windows 7, which I don't have any machines running 7 anymore, but Windows 7 you can use something like Stardock Logon Studio, which also works with Vista. For Mac, pretty much all the Macs, you could just replace the file, but I found that not to be as reliable as downloading a wonderful program called Loginox, which simple program. They make a PowerPC one, which I don't think you can download anymore, but if you need it for a PowerPC Mac, I got it. Let me know. They make the Intel one, and it just works. I mean, to have my picture on the back, and I don't know if you realize, but if you look closely at my picture, my wallpaper here, I gotta lower this down. you notice the Windows flag, well, the old Windows flag, and kind of like an Apple Galaxy. So I call my system, BITeC Systems, the B in BITeC, my last name, Broadnax. It's supposed to be the perfect harmony between Apple and Windows. Between Mac and Windows, Apple and Microsoft. And I think I've built that better than anybody I've seen attempt to build it. So yeah, that's how that works. Then that's pretty much it for real. I don't have anything else. I've showed pretty much everything. The Radius also powers the VPN server. I thought that would be easier to tie in VPN access and authentication to the same Radius server as the Wi-Fi. So there are actually 4 Radius clients, and my Radius server is also running on DC01, the same thing as Active Directory. I wanted to spin up a separate Radius server, but I tried that, and I tried making a Linux-based Radius server. That bombed on me bad. So I just went on the domain controller as a last resort and just enabled routing remote access and Radius. And after just playing around with it a little bit, it worked. So there's 4 Radius clients joined to it. Of course, you know the Airport Extreme down here, the Airport Extreme upstairs, the Airport Express down here, and the 4th Radius client is actually the OpenVPN or VPN1 virtual machine. And because VPN2 is set to be a slave to VPN1, I don't have to bind it separately to Radius. They could both use the one bind on Radius, which is wonderful. This has been a long video. I don't even know how long it's going, because I've been cutting it in parts because I don't want to have to deal with editing too much. But yeah, this is pretty much how everything is set up and runs, and you know, it works. It's been a long process setting all this up. Extremely long, lots of excruciating hours. Sometimes when I had things cause the whole network to go down, I've had to rebuild it several times. I hated when the power would go out, because it would more often than not fuck up one of these ancient machines because of the surge. Now, power don't go out no more. And even if it did, I wouldn't feel it down here, because every single thing in here is going through a UPS. There are 4 UPS units down here, and there's 3 upstairs. You saw the one by the server, off to the left there. It's the black box. There's one directly underneath that monitor, underneath in the cabinet. Let me tilt you down in that cabinet down there and on the far left. The 3rd one is underneath of the Power Macintosh G3, and the 4th one is underneath the TV stand. They don't last, they'll keep everything running about 40 minutes. That's fine. I only need it to run on battery mode for about 17 seconds. Because within 17 to 20 seconds, the Generac automatic standby generator should have fired up and taken over the house power. So these, when they will switch back to what they think is AC current, but really it's from the auto standby 24,000 watt generator. 24,000 watt hour. I don't even know. I think whatever it is, it's a big beefy fucking machine that sits outside the house and powers it if the mains power goes out. However, my UPSs only need to be activated and in battery protection for about 17 to 20 seconds, which is really nice. Except for this one over here by the TV stand, which has a fucked up battery. So I'm actually planning on getting that replaced. It's not too expensive. I should be able to handle it. But that would take care of, it's the one that's powering the entire back wall here. So let me do a quick little spin here. It's the one that's powering the entire back wall. Those four. Only this laptop right here in the middle, in position number 2, does not have a battery. So the battery actually works on everything else here. So that'll go out. That'll go out. That light, that entire TV stack with my high-end Sony stereo on it. Those G4s. And the random outlier here, if you want to go with old school math terms, is that laser printer. Because it draws too much amperage to put on the UPS that's underneath that the G3. So I ran an orange extension cord, heavy duty, around to the UPS that's over there. And like I did mention at the beginning of the video, one thing I do want to get done at some point in time is build a monitor type solution. So I found that there's so much shit you can do with Raspberry Pis these days. You can do everything. And I am actually working on some Windows on ARM stuff coming soon to use with my 2 Raspberry Pis that are doing nothing. They were originally hooked to the TV, operating as a terminal server client. And I could have the TV, I could have the computer on the TV. And that was cool and all, but you know, it wasn't really practical. So I'm working on some new projects that are involving Windows on ARM and the Raspberry Pi. Don't know if I should go with Windows 11 on ARM or Windows 10 on ARM. Since I don't run Windows 11 here yet, I think I might go with 10 ARM. Just because I'm used to it. And at some point in time, I am going to try to work with Windows 11. I want to see what its compatibility with my network is like. And I also want to see what more modern versions of Mac's compatibility with my network there is. Because the Apple's, I don't have anything running newer than El Capitan 10.11.6. So I found if you go any higher than that, most of the shit here won't support it, first of all. Second of all, it just introduces so many weird things that change. Like El Capitan is the last system to be called OS 10 before Apple switched it to Mac OS. See, Lion 10.7 was the last system to be called Mac OS 10, whereas with 10.8 came out, they dropped the Mac part and just called it OS 10. And then when 10.12 Sierra came out, they just called it Mac OS, the familiar Mac lowercase and then the capital OS, like how it is today. I have not tried any versions of Mac OS on my network. I've only tried versions of Mac OS 10 and OS 10, if that makes sense. I would not put Ventura on my network. I would not even put any of the new Mac OS Big Sur, Monterey. I have to see how the compatibility is, because you have to realize that my Apple server runs OS 10 Mountain Lion server. That's from 2012. That's 10 years ago. I don't know how or what the compatibility would be with managing a modern Mac. That's something to try. Windows 11, I think, would fit right in here perfectly, with a few tweaks. Don't know yet. Don't have a machine that can run Windows 11. I was thinking about putting it on my Acer, even though it's not compatible. I know there's some workarounds, but there's no point. They sell Windows 11 laptops cheap. If I want to burn a Windows 11 laptop, I'll just pick one up. There was something else I was going to say. I can't remember what it was. I don't know. Anyway, this is pretty much what I've got, and this has basically been the full in-depth tour. I know it's probably hasn't been 3 hours since I started recording for you guys, but it's been 3 hours. It's been almost 5 hours in real life because I had to take several stops and fix some things that broke, and I didn't have that on video. But now it looks like everything's running pretty well, and that's it. Thanks for watching.